teachers ask a lot of questions, right? And I was always like putting my hands up and answering and everything. So like people all around me was like, इसको चुप करो अब, yeah, make her shut up.
Truly techie बहुत कम लोग होते हैं. And when I think of someone who I feel really does enjoy what they do, I think of you.
Curiosity made us that way. We have to learn about this, we have to find out about this.
Maybe a few skills that you feel are monetizable, can do good in terms of their career planning. What is it that they should learn?
You either be a technological person, you build in that, or you be a domain oriented person, you learn about a domain. A lot of companies are not hesitant to hire freshers for those niche things. The biggest learning still happens on the job. That switch culture is a very Indian thing. People are still hesitant to pick up new products, build on new technologies because of the simple principle that if something is working, why change it?
Welcome to the Untitled Show. I'm Bhavna Pandey, and today I have with me Kirti Verma, who's a product owner at Siemens Healthineers. Welcome to the show, Kirti. Thank you so much for being here. How are you today?
Good, yeah. Thanks so much for having me. And first of all, I do have to say, we've known each other a very, very long time, 15 years.
Yeah, we
15 years, more than
studied
15
in the
years.
same college.
Yeah.
We graduated from the same college.
Yes.
You did your MCA honors. I quit in the middle of it. I did my BCA honors and then I took a different trajectory. But yours has always been a very interesting, interesting in the sense, I've always sort of admired the nerdiness in you. Which, while a lot of people pursue engineering and a lot of people do computer applications, but truly techie बहुत कम लोग होते हैं. And when I think of someone who I feel really does enjoy what they do, I think of you.
Definitely, definitely. So part of that is because I've always known what I wanted to do. So I've always worked toward a certain goal. Like for example, school finish kiya. Then I wanted to get specifically into computer science. I specifically wanted to do computer applications because that was the thing I was interested in.
Right. I remember because you were the only one who came to the college and like C++ पढ़ा रही हो? ये तो मुझे already आता है. So you were already sort of ahead of the curve at that time. You already knew a lot of things that we were learning there. Of course, there were other things and other areas as well. But you were also one of the teachers' pets who would always not because you tried to do that, but because you would always you would already know a lot of things and you were always attentive in the class and you would really try to grasp, not just pass a subject, but really try to understand what the subject entails. And very few people जिनको समझ में आ रहा था कि हो क्या रहा है.
That's true. That's true. So none of that was conscious, teacher's pet and blah blah everything. It's just that it's if the topic is of interest, you will find me on the first bench, definitely taking notes and everything. I had this problem in my school also. Teachers ask a lot of questions, right? And I was always like putting my hands up and answering and everything. So like people all around me was like, "Isko chup karo ab, yeah, make her shut up." So it's not conscious. Definitely, I don't do it intentionally, but it's just natural. It's
curiosity है.
Curiosity hai, exactly. Yeah, that comes out.
Perfect. And I was glad that I had a friend like you in college because there was someone who I could sit next to and then enjoy the subject and not be blamed as the nerd in the class and you could
like
take that
no?
title.
We were like that, no, both of us.
Yeah. And I enjoy being that because when you learn, you grow and there is a sort of enjoyment with a lot of people may not understand. But जब वो ऐसे डेटा स्ट्रक्चर्स समझ में आ रहा है तो वो जो डोपामीन और ऑक्सीटोसिन सिक्रीट हो रहा होता है, that's also a real thing. It's not just partying and boozing. That's also a real thing.
Definitely. I mean, ours was a small town. back then. Now,
Yes.
our town is growing and people are coming over
Indore.
in Indore. Yes, exactly. So back then there were only two things. You either became an engineer or you either became a doctor. That's
Yeah.
it. You had no third option because we weren't in that space. We didn't have that kind of exposure. So that kind of natural inclination towards the technology side of thing, it kind of came out that way, that learn this or think about this. And I still remember I really wanted a computer. I didn't have a computer until I was like 20 years all or something like that. So basically that sort of nerdiness or something came because first of all we didn't have exposure, so to find things, we were in the library a lot. We used to read books a lot. I still remember we used to listen to certain artists and certain songs or things like that. So those things were hard to come by. So the natural curiosity of things ki like, yeah, I want to find out about this. Internet was very new at that point of time. We still used to have those modem and things like that.
Modem connection.
So
Yes.
from us coming from that background, that curiosity made us that way. Ki we have to learn about this, we have to find out about this. So it's all a
Right.
product of that.
But us time pe there were a lot of opportunities, as you said, that were lacking in Indore. Options, the kind of companies which will come to your college because you are studying in Indore, and like the kind of companies which would go to an NIT or an IIT will be very different from which would come to the University of Indore. So what do you think should have happened differently? Do you think that there's something that could have happened differently? It would have been better, or do you think that whatever happened naturally is the best?
That thing is kind of complex for me because I could have had a completely different life because I had a completely different career choice at that point of time. So I had given this public administration exam, this SSC. I got selected there.
Oh yes,
I
yes.
became a preventive officer in customs.
Yes.
So I chose actually Goa. That this was in 2013. So I
Correct.
had a job in my hands. I was like, fine, I know what I want to do and everything. So I wasn't really serious about, or I wasn't really paying attention to what company is coming, or
Right.
I have to give for this and this and this. I just very casually gave for whatever the couple of companies that came in, and I
So
was like,
SSC,
fine.
you were selected before the placements.
Before the placement, way before, I was
Huh.
there in end of 2012, start of 2013, and placements happened 2013 end,
Okay.
2014 start, something
But
like that.
your job there had not started. You were just selected.
Yeah. Just selected
Just
because it's a
selected and
government
just
thing. Like it takes a lot
right.
of time
It
to
takes time.
materialize. There's you have to pass a written exam. There's an interview and blah blah, all those sort of things. So it takes time. Those things.
But you had decided कि ठीक है अभी किसी भी कंपनी में प्लेसमेंट होगा जाना तो anyway SSC में
Exactly.
like for the role of the
Customs officer.
customs
Yeah.
officer. ठीक है तो and then you went there.
I went there.
फिर क्या हुआ?
I went there, but then I very quickly found out. I was there for 5 days. I very quickly found out
Wow.
that this wasn't for me.
Okay.
And luckily, I
What is
had.
it that you hated there?
So I felt like the place, the atmosphere, the kind of work that I was expected to do isn't my cup of tea. So I wanted something that's fast moving, where I can quickly contribute. A job I'll be passionate about. So that is what I wanted to do. So luckily back in college I had given the entrance thing or whatever placement kind of exam for this Infosys that had come in just purely on chance. I simply wanted to see if I can crack it or not. That's it. So I got selected and everything. So instead of going that route, the customs route, I kind of ended up here. So coming back to your questions, what could have changed? I don't think so much could have changed because that place, that time, it's only 10 years ago, but things are changing rapidly now because of that exposure factor. Back then, they did the best they could, and we did the
Right.
best they could. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And there was hardly anyone who was using LinkedIn at that point of time to
No.
find out if there are any job opportunities. No one was going online. Whatever the college brings, it brings. And
Exactly.
then
Even if you didn't get placed from your college placements and you had to go off campus, that was like my God, what will happen to this guy? Whether he'll get a job or
Yeah,
not, or
yeah,
what will
yeah.
happen to his future. That was the
Right.
kind of thing
Atmosphere
at
at that
that point of time.
time.
So
Mm.
if a company came to your college, you got placed. End of story.
End of story.
Yeah, that was the thing for you.
Right,
Yeah,
right, right. And it still is maybe for a lot of
for a lot of
students.
people. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But it's high time that they start leveraging the options that we didn't have. I feel
Exactly.
like a lot of students still are just dependent on their college, and whatever it brings, it brings.
Mhm.
But this is the time to maybe go out in the market, and also maybe reach out to companies that you would want to reach out otherwise. And
Definitely,
yeah,
definitely.
and the companies are more open also.
Yes, that's the thing.
Hmm.
That's the thing. So things are moving so quickly in the tech world. Hot skills, AI, Python, cloud, blah, whatever.
Right.
So people are getting. First of all, the colleges have adapted. The universities have adapted. They are
Hmm.
bringing in these new courses. So
Hmm.
students that are actually passing out are more relevant in terms of the current technologies.
Hmm.
So a lot of companies are not hesitant to hire freshers for those niche things.
Right.
So that's
Right.
very important. And the second thing is, outside of college campus placements and all of those things,
Hmm.
companies are more open. If you as a fresher are applying directly on their company like websites or via
Hmm.
LinkedIn or everything, because
Hmm.
these are the things that gain momentum in India, maybe for us,
Hmm.
over the last 6 7 years or something
Yeah,
like that.
that's it.
It wasn't there before.
Correct.
So
Correct. Correct.
these things definitely should be utilized.
Yes. Yes. Absolutely. So you said that there are certain skills for which companies are not hesitant to hire freshers.
Mhm.
Which are those skills?
Uh, so in my world is
Hmm.
still a little bit on the uprise. So we are trying to digitalize more. Traditionally, we
Hmm.
have been with older technologies.
Hmm.
Because of simply the healthcare domain, that's
Hmm.
all it allows.
Hmm.
People are still hesitant to pick up new products built on new technologies
Hmm.
because of the simple principle that if something is working, why change it?
Right.
That's a very, very
If
big thing.
something is working, why change it?
Why change it?
Hmm.
Exactly. So
Hmm.
all these critical domains, be it healthcare, finance, if a
Hmm.
system is working, simply look at your you use a mobile banking app,
Hmm.
right? So
Hmm.
you use it. You're not worried about it's using the latest technology, blah blah blah, whatever.
Hmm.
It should do the task,
Hmm.
and it should do that securely. That is your only requirement.
Hmm.
It doesn't matter to you, and you
Hmm.
don't constantly want it to be updated every 5 seconds
Yeah, because
that
there
it's
will be
working.
so much to learn then.
Exactly,
But
exactly.
still, a lot has changed, especially in the payment sector, at least a lot has changed,
Mm-hmm.
and people have sort of tried and this habit changing,
Mm-hmm.
which was
That
very
was a
difficult
push.
back then.
That was a push. That was
Hmm.
a constant push. People had no other option but to adapt.
Hmm.
That's why we are where in terms of this digital
Hmm.
payments and all of that. If
Yeah,
that
but I
hadn't
think
happened,
banking and finance still sort of picked up pace, and
yeah,
especially it public sector banks had to do it because, as you said, there
it
was
was a
no
push.
other
No
option. It
other
was a
option.
push.
Yeah.
Um, but healthcare still has been a little. While the companies are trying, the users are
Yes.
a little
Yes.
slow to
Mm-hmm.
adopt.
Mm-hmm.
But it is happening, nevertheless.
It will happen.
Hmm.
Definitely, it will happen, but it might not be as quicker as other domains.
As accelerated as we
Yes.
think it will be.
Yes. There are multiple different factors. You have to deal with the patient data. You have to deal with the security of that patient data.
Hmm.
If a scanner is working perfectly one day, and
Hmm.
then you come in the next day, you put a new scanner there, it's not generating images, you lose your patients for that day, you lose your clinicians for that day. So it's and
Hmm.
this healthcare, these patients, they all have illnesses. Nobody likes to be in a hospital just for fun. So
Yeah.
you are actually playing with
It's
lives
very
that way.
critical if you try
Exactly.
to introduce a new piece of equipment
Yes.
where and actually an older equipment is working just fine and
Mm-hmm.
doing its job,
Mm-hmm.
and there could be an incremental benefit of using the new equipment
Mm-hmm.
to convince the stakeholders that there is this
Exactly.
incremental benefit, and
Mm-hmm.
no, it will not disrupt your business, is
Mm-hmm.
very difficult, right?
Yes, yes, exactly.
Hmm.
So that's why it'll definitely change. It has to change, but then
Hmm.
it's a little bit slower than maybe other domains.
TCS and Infosys have been known to be mass recruiters, and a lot of people have been a part of Infosys, say. But not a lot of people are able to reach where you are today as a product owner at Siemens Healthineers. So, what is it that you felt you did differently, or what is it that you where where are the areas where you maybe upskilled to ensure that you are moving forward and do not stagnate?
Uh, so, first of all, when I got into Infosys, I got pushed into like production support. So, what I mean by production support is like somebody hands you a ticket,
Hmm.
and you have to kind of figure out, oh, what's going wrong with the customer's
Huh.
system or user
Okay.
system that they've raised this ticket, and you have
Okay.
to figure out what basically the thing is. So
Hmm.
that kind of was in the insurance sector at that point of time.
Okay, so
So
insurance sector were the clients of Infosys. So
yeah.
for what someone can expect when they get into Infosys, and if it's a
Mhm.
job of
Mhm.
product testing, no, not testing,
Support.
product support,
Mhm.
then basically a client like an insurance
Mhm.
client
Mhm.
is using your
Yeah, software, or
software.
you have a service contract with them, so whatever software they're using, you're
Hmm.
supposed to look after it, you're
Hmm.
supposed to manage it. So
Hmm.
if it's not working as expected, people
Hmm.
will come and raise tickets with you, you are supposed to solve them.
राइट, सो इंश्योरेंस
Hmm.
क्लाइंट को कोई प्रॉब्लम आई,
Mhm.
उन्होंने रेज किया टिकट कि भाई
Mhm.
ये सॉफ्टवेयर वर्क नहीं कर रहा है द वे इट वाज इंटेंडेड टू
Mhm.
वर्क, प्लीज कम एंड हेल्प मी, एंड दैट
Exactly.
इज व्हेन
Yeah,
यू स्टेप इन.
I
हम्म.
stepped in.
हम्म.
So I did that thing for like a couple of years or so, and then
हम्म.
at that point of time, I was fortunate enough to travel to the site of that insurance guy that was in Europe. So
हम्म. दैट्स व्हाट सॉर्ट ऑफ अपील्स टू अ लॉट ऑफ पीपल ना, बाहर खाने
huh,
को मिलेगा, कब मिलेगा,
huh.
ऑन साइट कब हो रहा है. हाँ.
Yeah,
हम्म.
so I got that opportunity,
हम्म.
and there, while I was still doing my production support work,
हम्म.
there was a lady that really inspired me.
हम्म.
So she had this job of going to people asking for requirements. She was building a product. I didn't know at that point of time, okay,
हम्म.
what is her job, but I found it very exciting that she's carrying a notepad with her and she's speaking, interviewing with multiple people. I used to interact with her for my product support work, and then we casually chatted, and she explained to me, this is what I'm doing, this is what I'm developing, and
हम्म.
this is eventually what the work you're saying I'm doing now will translate to. So that got me
हम्म.
really really interested, and
Nice.
then I consciously upscaled myself to go into that. So I started working
Wow.
with requirements. So that is where the switch
And
for
this is when you came across this lady. This was in your first or second year of being
third year when
third
I
year
was on
when.
site. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
perfect.
So she kind of inspired me to go into that, because
Hmm.
again I've always known what I wanted to. So
Hmm.
at that point of time, I knew that this is something I wanted to do.
Hmm.
I wanted to move from this production support into requirement
Hmm.
gathering. So by
Hmm.
requirement gathering, it's a simple thing. At that point of time, it was simple that you go to a user, you are
Hmm.
trying to build a product.
Hmm.
How will a user use it? What
Hmm.
do they expect out of the product? What are
Hmm.
the current problems they are facing with the way they are working right now?
Hmm.
So
And what will their user journey be like?
exactly,
Hmm.
exactly, user journey be. So to translate that lady had the job of a business analyst.
Hmm.
So that is my first product management role. That is how I got into it.
Hmm.
I came back to India. I asked if I can get that sort of a role. I was fortunate enough to
Wow.
start working on that, and then that is where at the 5.5 year mark, I switched to Siemens Healthineers
Hmm.
on a similar profile. The domains were completely different, but then it was
Hmm.
okay. Somehow
Hmm.
they accepted me and they took me. So that is
Hmm.
where I really started to get into those kind of things, a proper business analyst role with
Hmm.
it, with that title, to
Hmm.
go with that.
Hmm.
And then over the past couple of years or so, I jumped into product
Hmm.
ownership. So
Hmm.
that is one step up from
Hmm.
business
Right.
analysis. So how I would classify my job is, there are three levels.
Hmm.
One is when you're a developer,
Hmm.
one is when you're a business analyst, and
Right.
one is when you're a product owner or product manager.
Right.
So when you are a developer,
Hmm.
you look at it from a code perspective.
Hmm.
How do you write how certain piece of code? Something has been given to you, you implement it.
Hmm. Hmm.
Then there is business analysis.
Hmm.
Then you're worried about the system, your
Hmm.
product. What can your product do?
Hmm.
Okay,
Right.
how can you make it do certain things that are being asked of it?
Hmm.
Okay, and then third is where I am right now, is a product ownership or product management, wherein you are concerned with what the customer wants from that product.
Hmm.
bhai, I am building something,
Right.
and how do I build it right? What does it take for me to build a right product so
Hmm.
that customers actually use it? So,
Hmm.
as a developer, you are at a very technical role. As a
Hmm.
business analyst, you are system oriented, you're product oriented.
Right.
And then when you are a product owner or a product manager,
Hmm.
it's all about the customer should
customer.
use what I
Hmm.
want, what I'm building.
Wow. So
Yeah.
it's like a laborer, a thekedar, and then
Exactly.
the builder or the real estate
Exactly.
owner who has to finally sell the
Not to call
property.
developers laborers, huh?
Yeah. No, but I don't think I mean, the laborer job should be dignified enough to be
It
compared to a
is.
developer, because
It is.
obviously they are
It is.
doing
Definitely. And
they're doing the work that they are doing no one else can do. Similarly,
exactly.
what a developer can do, nobody
I
else.
cannot. I cannot code now. I cannot code. 10 years I could ago I could have, but now I cannot. Yeah.
Exactly.
So
So that's
everybody
where it
has their
starts.
jobs.
And until and unless you've done the job of a laborer, you cannot directly
Exactly.
become
Exactly.
a person who can guide.
Mhm.
All right. So what are some of the skills that you feel are vanishing or disappearing from the industry, or some tech, for example? Are there any things that you feel that were taught in the college back then, or were used say 10 years back, but अभी कोई यूज नहीं है उसका, या फिर आगे जाके डू यू सी कि अभी कोई ऐसी टेक्नोलॉजी है जिसका कोई खास काम नहीं आने वाला?
I would rather relate it to what we studied. So we studied mathematics for some reason when we were studying computer applications. We were studying physics. So all those sort of things, I don't know why they were put in the curriculum, to be honest. But I am whatsoever not using them. I'm not using them
I'm sure.
whatsoever. So
M1
that
M2
that
M3 जो पढ़ते हैं सब
exactly,
engineering में,
exactly,
but
exactly.
I don't know उसका क्या I think उसका intention is
There
to
must be
expand
something.
your brain, and like
I
so
don't
that
know.
you are able
Yeah.
to think more algorithmically, and maybe that's
नहीं यार, I
all.
am not
I
going
don't
to
know,
apply
but
Pythagoras theorem when I am talking to a customer यार.
हाँ
It's as
हाँ
simple as that. So
hmm
I think that those sort of things do need to be revisited. Yeah, yeah.
Maybe someone who's doing like a PhD, BSc, MSc in
Exactly,
mathematics, if
exactly.
they study that, makes
Yeah,
sense.
it should be a
But if
specialization thing. Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Instead,
yeah,
instead of putting these sort of courses, we could bring in how to manage your finances, how
exactly, life
to
skills,
exactly
no?
life skills,
Hmm.
how to give a presentation,
Hmm.
or how to prepare how to talk to people.
Yeah, how to
Uh,
talk to
exactly,
clients or customers or
exactly.
your own
Yeah,
colleagues.
yeah.
How do you see your skill set changing when you were an individual contributor or someone who was in the position of a developer, to when now you've to maybe talk to more people, understand customer problems? What was required then and what is required now?
One thing that has certainly changed is you have to keep an open mind, and that is something that doesn't come naturally when you are when you are just starting. So like for example, in my current role, it's more like a firefighting thing. You log in for the morning. Oh, some new issues come. This is not working. You need to go back and talk to this person. You have to contact some other department to get things done. So that is something I wouldn't have done 10 years ago. So that's the kind of upskilling. That thing has changed for me. And then the other thing has changed for me is definitely writing more. So
Ah,
because in my role, if until and unless you don't write something, other people will not see it and do their work.
right,
Yeah,
right.
so that's the second thing. And the third thing is you have to think from the perspective of the team you are handling. So you cannot be, because I'm the product owner, so I'm responsible for pushing things out in a certain timeline. But then if first of all you have to be that motivative, you have to be that open, you don't have to micromanage. Okay, I used to micromanage myself a lot. So that is something I've kind of moved out of, because you cannot do that person's work in
Right,
that team. You have
right.
to trust that person, or you have to delegate your responsibilities. You have to trust that
Even if
person.
they make a mistake or
Exactly, you
two.
have to be adaptive.
Hmm.
You have to give them space to grow, so
Hmm.
that you give yourself space to grow. So
Right.
that is the biggest learning for me.
अभी आज की डेट में if you are to today, if you're going to give advice to a 20-year-old on maybe a few skills that you feel are monetizable, can do good in terms of their career planning, what is it that they should learn if you were to give an advice?
I would give uh, this advice कि either you stick to a certain language
Okay.
language in terms of you want to do programming and you stick to that. You kind of upskill yourself as the technology changes. So be a technology oriented person or be a domain oriented person.
Okay.
Okay, because uh, and I don't want to put it in a bad light, but developers are people that frequently move across organizations, but people who are at a domain level, they don't do that frequently, they don't move around frequently because that's the nature of the job. So if I asked you to do my job, you will take some time to get yourselves into that domain. It's not a language that you can quickly learn. So the advice again would be that you either be a technological person, you build in that, or you be a domain oriented person, you learn about a domain, be it healthcare, be it finance. So because that is the relevance of today, even if you look
Right.
at AI, this
And when you say technology, so
Mhm.
it could be the cloud
anything,
or
yeah, exactly,
AIML or
exactly,
ML ops,
yes.
कोई भी एक
Mhm.
technology which you feel you enjoy.
See, you either be the developer of that technology or
Hmm.
you be the consumer of that technology.
Hmm.
How? You either get the technological know how to develop that, or you know how to ask the questions of that from that technology that you have developed. And to do that, this is a new course, by the way, prompt engineering.
Yeah, prompt engineering.
Exactly.
Yes,
So
yes,
you should
yes.
know what to ask, or you should develop that thing.
Right,
It's
right, right.
like that.
If you give the right prompts, you get the right output.
Exactly.
If you don't,
And
then yeah,
asking the right questions
is the biggest
is the
skill.
biggest thing. Yes.
True, true. And that's something that a lot of courses don't really
Yeah.
cover, and you learn on the job. And
The biggest learning still happens on the job. You do however degrees you want, you go to any number of prestigious
right.
colleges, that ultimately you will learn on the job.
If you were to point out certain traits of people who you've seen around you who've done really well in terms of their professional lives, what traits do you see help?
It's again a subjective questions. Like I've worked a lot with my European colleagues. So one thing they don't do a lot is switch.
Okay.
That switch culture is a very Indian thing.
Mm.
So what they like to do is specialize in something, and what we like to do is be the jack of all trades.
Right,
Yeah.
right,
So
right,
that
right.
that is,
So depth gets
yes,
missing
depth
somewhere
gets
then.
missing. You are the jack of all trade, but you are not specialized in anything. Yeah, this frequent job switching does that to you.
And when you are, so for example, if somebody is in the payment space and the finance space, they've grown along with the industry. They've seen what
Exactly.
happened pehle,
Yes.
what happened,
Yeah.
what is going to happen. So they sort of can become a visionary in that sense. But
Exactly.
if you keep switching domains and you keep switching technologies, which I think is difficult
If
to
that
do.
is what you want to do, you are a maybe most the people I know who do that are developers, because they again are tied to that technology part of the thing which I mentioned earlier.
But at least
So
either
they are able to
be
switch.
yeah, but you specialize in one technology at
Yes.
least.
Yes.
Don't
Exactly.
do anything half-heartedly and like
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, just moving around for the sake of moving around is never going to satisfy you. You may earn more, but ultimately, it's not going to satisfy you.
right.
Yeah. I have this funda that when you get up in the morning, you should be happy to do your job.
Perfect. So अच्छा, बैक टू कॉलेज डेज, अगर खुद को ही कोई सलाह देनी हो, खुद को कोई एडवाइस देनी हो, व्हाट वुड दैट?
Learn public speaking.
Interesting.
That is still something that terrifies me. I am trying to change
Doesn't
that.
seem so at all.
Are, come on. It's because it's you, yaar.
Doesn't seem so at all.
It's because it's
But
you.
that's a skill that is
And it's not like something that like a Zoom call or something. I'll be perfectly fine. But then
yeah.
if you put 10 chairs here and put seat 10 different people, yeah, it's start. I'll start to get nervous.
Yeah, but that
Yeah.
happens with most of us. But
Yeah.
you're right, that's a skill that I see a lot of senior leaders, if they have it, then it just
Exactly.
clicks. And
Yeah.
if they don't have it,
It's a struggle.
no matter how
Yeah.
interesting, no matter what they're saying, it's just not interesting enough. No?
Exactly. Yes. So that is the
Uh,
advice I'll give myself. I don't know if it's a learning thing, but
hmm.
just push yourself to do that more.
Hmm.
Yeah, go join
Hmm.
these Toastmasters or
Hmm.
whatever, because Infosys has a good Toastmasters program and things like that. So
Yeah.
be a part of that more.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Great. And all right. So one interesting trivia: if you can think of one thing that will be in museums, say 30 years from now, what would that be?
Any technology, pretty much any technology that we are using right now.
No, but in terms of say gadgets or
Smartphones.
devices, smartphones you
Smartphones,
feel will
definitely.
go away, and
There's
what
going to
would replace
be like
wearables?
wearables, or I don't know, maybe some devices wherein you just visualize something and some chip maybe
Right.
implanted in you, Neuralink and all of that things. Those are already starting to happen.
Amazing.
So definitely, maybe physical gadgets might go away. Mm.
So you are already thinking like a visionary I know of. Like he was giving the same answers as you. So you are, at least your thought process is in the right direction, is what I can see. Because he's an industry leader. He's the author of the book AI Rising. And when I
Oh.
asked him this question, this is what he answered. It could be very evident, but not many people answered,
Mhm.
gave me this answer. So
Mhm.
seems like your thought process is somewhere heading
Thanks.
towards becoming a visionary. So that's great. अच्छा, do you like AI threat जो सब लोग बोलते रहते हैं वो AI can be a threat? How do you perceive AI? Have you had a chance to use AI in
Yeah,
your
yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, yes, yes, yes.
you do use it, and where do you feel you use it the most, and आगे जाके क्या लगता है what kind of jobs will it sort of eat up or change?
Where I use it the most is my Teams call.
Hmm.
So
अच्छा, nice.
earlier I had to like sit after the meeting, write down meeting
Jot down
summary
notes,
and
yes.
all of that.
Hmm.
Now I can simply click a button, Copilot generate a summary. So it does
Yeah,
that for me.
right.
And it's pretty much
It
accurate.
is
Yeah.
amazing. I was there when Microsoft Copilot sort of launch happened in
Mm-hmm.
India.
Mm-hmm.
And at that time, when I saw what all it could do, it was phenomenal.
Exactly.
And the fact that it is already being implemented and you are using it on a day-to-day
Yep.
basis
Mm-hmm.
and generating all your call summaries and notes at the
Mm-hmm.
click of a button, it's amazing.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
Exactly.
Hmm.
What was your question again? I've forgotten the
That what
Copilot
is
thing.
the AI?
It's
Are
not.
you using?
It's definitely something that's revolutionary for
Hmm.
sure. But currently, and for I think some years to come, it is not at that level,
Hmm.
because even look at OpenAI. They are now only becoming profitable because they've shifted their business model
Hmm.
to run such a thing,
Hmm.
such as that ChatGPT and everything requires tremendous amount of resources.
And infrastructure and
Exactly, infrastructure and
energy.
everything. They were in the
Yeah.
red for a long, long time.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's not at that scale yet. I think
Hmm.
now with their partnership with Microsoft and everything, things are changing.
Hmm.
But that's one side of thing, infrastructure side of thing. The other thing is still AI does not act on its own. You need humans to feed data to it. Okay.
Hmm.
So,
Hmm.
and that is true for everything,
Hmm.
everything on your phone. Even if you have to correct a picture,
Hmm.
AI doesn't correct it for you. You have to tell them, oh, remove this person from behind or something. So,
Hmm.
it will always, until and unless a Skynet situation develops,
Hmm.
it's still, it's always going to need people to tell it what to do.
Hmm.
Okay, it may give you 10 different options, but ultimately you have to choose. Like
Hmm.
in my domain, if there is if we are implementing AI algorithms on a scanner to generate more images,
Hmm.
uh, still a radiologist has to sign off on it
Yes.
to say that this is exactly what's wrong with the patient, or this is
Right.
exactly the diagnosis of the patient.
Right.
So that thing is
Right.
always going to be there.
We hope that AI will continue to assist us and
Exactly, it's an
can become
assistance as
better
of
and
now.
better as an
Yes.
assistant.
Hmm.
But what is to be done, at least the command hopefully stays with us.
Yes.
Great. It was great speaking to you, Kirti, and connecting with you after such a long time. चलो मिलते रहेंगे.
Yes.